Hi, everybody. This is Dan Stolberger. Welcome to the new year. This is the Middle East update, and I'm filming this on New Year's Eve, but I'm standing on my tiptoe and I can't wait to hear 2020 slam the door tonight. Amen. Well, what's going on in the Middle East? Let's start with our news bites, but first remember, make sure you access the PDF PowerPoint that accompanies this YouTube video. More information as well as photos that accompany each one of these articles. We do that's available at holygroundexplorations.com. Or there should be a link on your YouTube that you can click to access that as well. So, news bites. Well, a lot's going on in Israel in regards to the vaccination, COVID, etc. And Netanyahu is claiming that the pandemic will be over in Israel. Are you ready for this? Within a few weeks. We have another article later in this presentation that will give you some numbers, but the Prime Minister asserts that with the combination of a lockdown combined with vaccination campaign, Israel will be the first country to overcome the coronavirus crisis. Activity up north, no, actually in the Gaza Strip again, Israeli jets have hit several targets in the Hamas-controlled Gaza Strip on last Saturday morning after the terrorists had fired rockets into Israel from the coastal territory. Again, we see a lot of other activities going on. At the beginning of each year, I guess the Palestinians have their sort of war games and they're launching rockets out into the Mediterranean just to, in a sense, say to Israel, we have all of this available and ... it just may be coming your way. And so we think that there's going to be a ratcheting up of the Gaza activity as well. This is very interesting. We know that we're coming to elections once again. I think this is number 4. And it appears that the battle in the Knesset is not going to be between center-left or sort of the liberal side of things versus the right. The battle's going to be between all the parties in the right. And Nissim Vaturi is the second Likud Knesset members to not only enter the Temple Mount area for prayer last week, but he's calling for the construction of the third temple. Do you realize what's taking place when we have government officials in the Knesset that are calling for the building of the third temple? Once again, at the end of this, we'll be talking about our study in the book of Revelation, but Jesus said that concerning the end of days that we should watch, pray, and not be deceived. Question, what should we be watching for? Well, we know that there will be a third temple built, and if this is the beginning of that process, we better be paying attention. Well, I think we touched upon this last week, but I just saw video footage of the suspect in the death of Esther Horgan being captured by the IDF outside of the city of Jenin. And of course, there's gag orders in place, but once again, it's incredible the ability of the IDF to apprehend terrorists. Well, let's talk a little bit about these strikes into not just Gaza, but Syria as well. It appears that Israel is using Lebanese airspace to strike Syria due to the need from triggering the Syrians' Russian-made defense systems, which are said to be impenetrable. By using Lebanese airspace, it's capable of tricking the air defense systems. And just last week, The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, a pro-Syrian opposition organization, claimed that Israel has struck Iran-backed militias and killed at least 6 foreign paramilitaries. It said the strikes targeted the Iran-backed groups, their arms depots, their facilities, and keep this in mind, the manufacturing plant for guided missiles. Short range, but guided, precision guided missiles, PGMs. This is the biggest threat to Israel today. Well, we talked about vaccinations. This is just in because the numbers are quite staggering. Israel is vaccinating over 150,000 people a day. And I just read, again, as I put this together to send out, that it's been 11 days since they began the process. And to this moment in time, it's already vaccinated nearly 800,000 citizens. We'll talk a little bit about the media, what's going on. We know it's a biased media, but there's an article here. I think it's worthy of you reading in detail. It's entitled "The Media Missing in Action." Over this last week and a half, Israel has suffered at least 3 terror attacks, and the details are coming in, and we're just starting to pick up a little bit more and more. But I can assure you, you probably have not read about any of these in any of the major media outlets. In the pre-dawn hours last Thursday, an unidentified assailant rammed his car into a group of Golani Brigade soldiers standing outside of Jerusalem's First Station, as sort of a popular entertainment hub. The troops were visiting Jerusalem ahead of an early morning swearing-in ceremony at the Western Wall. 12 people were injured, and one in particular is currently just fighting for his life at this time. The second, a border patrol officer, was lightly injured in a shooting attack in the old city of Jerusalem, just outside the Temple Mount near the Lion's Gate. And then 3, there was a drive-by shooting along a West Bank highway near the Dolav settlement, and 1 soldier was lightly injured. Anybody hear of any of these things taking place through major media outlets these days? I don't think so. Again, the media missing in action, calculated and biased. And speaking about biased, take a look at this slide. It's number 7, and it's by the AP news outlet. The first reads, Israeli police shoot alleged gunmen in Jerusalem's Old City, which we just talked about outside the Lion's Gate. And then the second one says, Hezbollah doubled its precision-guided missiles this year. It is a bit subtle, but the AP cites the Hezbollah leader's claim as fact. This is Nasrallah. This is the leader of a documented terrorist organization. And you would think that any journalist, really anybody else, should know that comments should not be necessarily taken at face value, that additional investigating is required. And so yet this is taken as fact through major media outlet. And then we actually have photos, you'll see it in that previous slide, of this gunman shooting at IDF soldiers outside the Lion's Gate. So we have verifiable proof, and yet what term is used? Israeli police shoot an alleged gunman in Jerusalem City, Jerusalem's Old City. So once again, it's a biased media. And then we have, speaking of biased media and threats from the Palestinians, this is a bit mind-boggling, but very believable. In the wake of the horrific murders last week of the Israeli mother of six, Esther Horgan. YouTube has a Palestinian singer, Abdullah al-Sadid, and he's racked up over 23 million views for his new music video. And what's it called? Quote, Target Identified, in which he sings that the time has come for a fierce war and that the smell of gunpowder is more pleasant than perfume, while lifting a gun to his face and breathing in its aroma and then loading a case of automatic weapons in his car. El Sadid looks at the camera and says, "Shut up and don't cross the border. If you cross it, we'll put an end to your existence." He then draws his hand across his throat in a throat-slitting gesture. And we allow this. YouTube allows this. This type of incitement to kill and maim is always unacceptable, but it absolutely must not be tolerated, especially in light of another innocent Israeli who lost her life, a mother of six, brutally murdered. Well, right when you think that's probably about it, it can't get any worse than that. Oh, anybody want to purchase an Adolf Hitler hoodie? Take a look at this photo. A leading Jewish group has slammed an online seller on Sunday for offering a sweatshirt that bears the image of Adolf Hitler. The London-based, Hong Kong-founded discount retailer called Vova describes the sweater as a, quote, new fashion men's casual Adolf Hitler funny graphic printed hoodie. Dr. Shimon Samuels of the Simon Wiesenthal Center at Europe's Anti-Holocaust International Relations has basically said there's nothing funny about Hitler. The banalization of this type of hate and discrimination is scathing. And so Vova not only offers this, but they offer a variety of other Hitler-themed clothing items that are for sale. This is the world we're living in. Well, as we come to the end of 2020, there's hope. There's hope that 2021 cannot be a worse year that we've just lived through. There are those that are saying we need to go outside on this New Year's Eve night and give a collective scream about the end of this year actually leaving. And so in 2020, as we scream out to welcome in a new year, I think part of it is slamming the door behind us, and I'll take great pleasure in that. So on one hand, there's some thought that 2021 is going to be a solution. Is things going to get better and we'll get back to normal? No way. That's not going to happen. But as the people of God, we need to brace ourselves, not mope around, but look to the future, to watch, as I said, watch and pray. As Jesus said, as the end of days unfolds, we need to be knowledgeable about these things. That will intensify our light that needs to be shining brightly in these days. I'd like to encourage you to join us on our weekly YouTube channel for our old-fashioned Bible study. We're currently going through the timely book of Revelation. And you can join us each week. It's about a 45-minute to an hour study. And I've given you that link for the YouTube site. We're currently just ending up on this upcoming week, the first 3 churches that Jesus sends letters to in the book of Revelation, chapter 2. So pray you join us with that. Happy New Year. May it be full of hope, purpose, and may our light shine brighter than they ever have before. God bless you, and shalom.